Hello and welcome to the editorial analysis of the Hindu. Today we shall be discussing the editorial of the 2nd of August. But before we begin, please take a look. Tomorrow is a wonderful opportunity for all of our students. We have come up with an orientation program where we have invited one of the successful candidates in UPSC. It is Mr. Rahul Sankanur, who had scored in All India rank 70. He will be coming and he will be sharing his strategy for mains answer writing. Very, very important and a wonderful opportunity for all of you to come and interact with the topper. You can ask any of your queries. A one-to-one interaction is definitely very, very beneficial. So we would like to invite all of our students who can reach us at our Bangalore Center tomorrow. Please reach us. These are our contact details. And also try and bring more of your friends. Come as a group. This kind of an opportunity is something that is wonderful. It is an exposure that you will get and you must avail it whenever it is provided. And fortunately, we have the good fortune of providing it to you tomorrow. So all of those of you who can reach us, please do reach us. Coming to the discussion, the article for today is gender justice. This is the article that has come in the editorial and which is very, very relevant for us. Another piece of article which is linked to this is what was published on the first page of the Hindu. So I have picked this particular article also. It gives us a brief history. It gives us a context of this particular article. Now the context here is the Unnao case. What has happened in this particular case is that recently the Supreme Court has given a few judgments. It has given a few orders in particular to this case, and as a result of which this case is what is in news. Otherwise also this case is very, very important for us, and as a result of which you must at least find some space in your paper to mention about this particular case. It is that important. Now before we begin our discussion and the analysis, a brief history of this case is what you should know. Now basically the Unnao case is not a one single case, rather it has expanded into a collection of 5 cases. This is what took place in the year 2017. Way back in that year, a 17-year-old girl who had gone to an MLA, that is a BJP MLA, Mr. Kuldeep Singh Sengar. This girl had approached the official here and she had approached him for a job. But what happened here is that she, after coming back, she said that she had been sexually assaulted, and as a result of which she filed a police complaint. For long, no action was taken. It was only in the month of April in the year 2018 that an arrest was what was made. Then, what is the second case that is involved is that after the filing of this particular case, in the year 2018, an Arms Act, a case under the Arms Act is what was registered against the father of the girl in question here. Then after this, the third case that is in issue is that after the arrest of the father on 3rd April 2018, on 9th April 2018, suddenly the father died in police custody. So again, this is what is smacking of some foul play here. So that is what resulted in the third case. After this, what happened is that this victim was again gang raped. After the sexual assault in the first case, again the victim was gang raped. Within a week, she was of her father's death, she is again gang raped. So that is the case 4. And finally, the biggest tragedy that has now taken place is that the woman who in question here, the lady in question here, along with 2 of her aunts and her lawyer, was recently hit by a truck, a speeding truck, which had its number plate blackened, hit their car. And now this woman is on ventilator fighting for her life, and she is in an extremely critical situation. So this is the summary of all the Unnao cases, and this case is one of the biggest shame for India and in the women's rights movement in India. It is very, very important. It is so important that I would suggest 100% replication in your paper is what I would suggest for this particular case. Which means that definitely even if a direct question doesn't come, you have to have your analysis in such a way that at least in some social issue you will talk about women and women related issues, and you have to talk about the Unnao case. There is no other way to this. Even in either an essay paper you should find scope for talking about this particular case, and that is how you have to 100% replicate this particular case in your paper. It is that important. Coming to the discussion and the analysis and the issues related to this particular case. First and foremost, the editorial is highlighting about the Nirbhaya tragedy. This is what took place 7 years back in the year 2012. At that point of time, we all know the amount of outrage that India saw at that point of time. almost every single state, almost every single region in the country stood as one, and they revolted against such kind of blatant tragedy that had taken place and blatant violence that was taking place against women. And as a country, we all took a vow that never again will we allow such kind of a tragedy to repeat in India. But what is the scenario? Even 7 years after this particular case, this gruesome case, such kind of a case does take place again. Not only does it take place again, the victim is not given justice. Not only she is not given justice, she is rather punished. Her family is punished. This kind of an issue is what is a shame on our country. Time and again in my discussions for UPSC, I have asserted that you shouldn't be emotional when you are discussing, or for that matter, the emotional aspect of your answers or your feelings or what should not be reflected in your answers. And I still believe that. One cannot go ahead irrationally and say that the culprit should be hanged to death or should be castrated. These kind of suggestions are what are not expected out of a rational candidate, and definitely you need not become over emotional. But some degree of anger is what should be reflected in your writings. It should be reflected in your speech when you are discussing such matters in your interview. That is what is required of the society also as of now. So this is why I am trying to convey it in a more detailed manner to you, that try and highlight the tragedy of this particular episode. Now another analysis is with regards to the road to justice that this particular victim has faced. The road to justice in this particular case has been a long one. It has been very, very difficult one, and it is what has been an unequal one. She is fighting against the power of the state itself. The person in question is a sitting MLA. That too an MLA of the party that is in power in the particular state. So this is what is the road to justice for our victims or rape victims. In this particular case, Nirbhaya case, the biggest tragedy was that not only the girl was raped, she lost a battle of her life and she passed away under this tragedy. But the question that needs to be raised in the Unnao case is that even if Nirbhaya would have lived, what would have been her story? Similar to what is the story of the girl in question in the Unnao case, these are the questions that need to be raised, and that is what is very, very important. Another important analysis is with regards to this being a show of power. If the father was arrested under Arms Act, he was killed within 6 days. Isn't this a blatant show of power? Also, I would like to highlight here that recently there was a controversy in the context of the Chief Justice of India himself, where a woman had filed a complaint of sexual assault against the Chief Justice. In another complaint, she had asserted that how her husband and his entire family was what was being harassed. This is what is the show of power in our country. Our laws in our country are only for the poor, and it is for the rich and the more powerful to simply play with these laws. Is rule of law not applicable to them? Are the powerful capable enough to play with the lives of innocent girls? Is the question that needs to be asked in our country, and that is what has been highlighted here. Another important analysis is with regards to the state government itself. Now, even if the person in question was from their own party, isn't it the responsibility of the government to protect the citizens? But in this particular case, the state government is complicit in the case. The police has arrested that person. The person has lost his life well in police custody. So this reflects the complicit nature of the state government and how they are an accomplice to this case as well. Muscle power and money power have been in show in this particular case, and that is the tragedy of the Unnao case. Very, very important. Another analysis is with regards to such kind of cases being there in particular in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Some data particular to Uttar Pradesh is what has been given, that largest number of rape cases are what are recorded in Uttar Pradesh. The justice that is to be given to women is what is minimal in Uttar Pradesh. So this state specific data is what has been given, and you can make a note of this particular analysis, though I personally feel that you shouldn't be very, very critical of a particular state, because the truth of the matter is that definitely this is what is happening as of now in Uttar Pradesh. The Unnao case is what is exclusive to Uttar Pradesh, but we all know that this is what is a pan-India phenomenon. Yes, it might show some regional tendencies, it might be high in some states, but the status of women in our country is what is equal everywhere. So criticism, selective criticism of only one state which is not justified, is something that I wouldn't advocate. Sometimes it can also happen that the examiner is from Uttar Pradesh and he or she might not appreciate it. So you have to show some restraint also. So that is what has been discussed in the editorial in the context of the case of Uttar Pradesh. Another analysis is with regards to the rights of the women, and that is again what has been given in a very strict and a clear statement here is, now what basically has happened in this particular case is that the Supreme Court has shifted all these 6 cases to Delhi. They will not take place, the hearing will not take place in Uttar Pradesh, but rather in Delhi, and also the judge has been named. The Supreme Court has gone ahead to the detail of even naming the judge who will hear the proceedings, so that is one development. And also a compensation of 25 lakh is what has been offered to the girl in question here, but the issue is that she is on ventilator, fighting for her life as of now. Relief has come, but the relief that has come is what is late. So that is one aspect that is important. Also, what is important that the editorial is highlighting is that increased focus on women's rights is what is important for our nation. What is important is that we cannot talk about the idea of women empowerment and women rights when on ground nothing is changing. When on ground women are today being raped and then not being given justice, then what is the idea of women empowerment that is alive in India? That is what needs to be changed. Also, the mindsets in the society is such that women are still oppressed. There is impunity, this mindset that if rape is what is done, then it is done with a sense of impunity. Also patriarchal mindsets. We have heard in the past, in the Nirbhaya case also, leaders had said from political rallies that it is justified for men to rape women if women are not well dressed. These kind of mindsets, this kind of patriarchal thinking is what needs to change in our society. This is a plural society, and here women have equal rights as compared to men. They cannot be oppressed. We cannot fail the girls in our country. If these kind of cases will come, you have to understand the impact it has, the fear it creates in the minds of women. How will we expect them to reach their full potential if they are living in fear all the time? Our ideology is not only to educate women, our motto is not only Beti Padhao, but it is also Beti Bachao. So if the Beti Bachao aspect has to be focused on, then these cases need to be brought to an end. Justice has to be given at the earliest, and this is what is the message that can be drawn from the Unnao case. Very important. Please replicate it in your mains paper. You will have scope for it. There is no denial in that. This shows an empathetic aspect of the student and it will be rewarded. So that is how you have to use this particular article. Now, this was the only article that was relevant in our discussion today. There are other articles in the editorial which I have not found important for UPSC. Despite the fact that one of the articles is on female feticide, it doesn't matter that the topic is important. There is no denial that sex ratio and female feticide is an important topic. But the editorial doesn't offer ideas which can be replicated in the mains paper. So even if the topic is important, it is irrelevant if the ideas are what cannot be extracted, and it is only difficult jargon and difficult data that has been given. So that is why I have ignored that article. This article is banning cryptocurrencies, the solution. This is basically an interview extract, and this is important. I have discussed this topic very much in detail in the past. Many times we have discussed about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and all the points are a repetition. They are all talking that how innovation is what should be favored in the case of Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies. We have discussed it. They have also discussed that a ban should not happen. We have discussed it just recently that regulation is what should take place, ban should not take place. Otherwise what will happen is that this is what is going to go underground. A market is what is going to be created in such a way where this will be outside the reach of the government. So instead of this, what is important is that government should regulate it rather than outrightly banning it. So this article is all about that, but definitely even if it is a repetition, I would suggest that you should read this particular interview, and that is why I have included it in today's video also. If you have time, take out some time and read it. It will give you good insights on cryptocurrency, which is indeed very relevant. Cryptocurrency is relevant for economy aspect of the general studies paper. It is also relevant in the context of functioning of the government, those kind of ideas. That is where you can use it. In science and technology aspect, it becomes important in blockchain technology. One of our students in the comment section had requested that I should be more particular and more precise as to where is the usage of articles. So I hope I am trying to do that, and we are working on that. So that is how you can use it in the economy paper. In the science and technology section, cryptocurrencies is an important topic, and you can definitely expect a question in this regard. So give some time on reading this particular article. That is the relevance of this particular article. And that's all about our discussion today. I thank you all for watching the video.